significant contributor to FSD advancement, and we continue to invest in training infrastructure at our Texas headquarters.
So they've deployed Cortex, which is a 50,000 H100 cluster at Giga Texas, and we continue to invest in AI infrastructure. So Cortex is going to grow. The AI compute in Texas is going to grow substantially. If I hear Elon correctly, there may be 500,000 of these H100s or comparable to 500,000 H100s in Texas soon. He says they're going to 10x, right? And not doubling down, they're going to 10x. I think we're going to see a lot more compute in Texas soon.
The training needs for Optimus humanoid robot are probably at least ultimately 10x what's needed for the car.
Elon gets into a really interesting discussion about the challenge of training Optimus. He says 10x the training compute needed, 10x the training work needed. He's going to describe how challenging Optimus is going to be to train.
At least to get to the full range of useful roles. You can say, like, how many different roles are there for a humanoid robot versus a car? A humanoid robot has probably 1,000 times more uses and more complex things than in a car. That doesn't mean the training scales by 1,000, but it's probably 10x. Now you can do this progressively, so it doesn't mean like Tesla's going to spend like $500 billion in training compute, because we will obviously train Optimus to do enough tasks to match the output of Optimus robots.
I had trouble wrapping my head around that. We want to train Optimus to do enough work to match the output of Optimus robots. I didn't understand that one. If you understood it, let me know in the comments or replies below. Thank you.
The cost of training is dropping dramatically with time. I think long-term Optimus has the potential to be north of $10 trillion in revenue.
North of $10 trillion in revenue. He's not talking about total revenue for Optimus. He's talking about $10 trillion in revenue a year. Tesla is a company that has about $100 billion in revenue a year now. $10 trillion a year in revenue for just Optimus alone is a 100x on Tesla's current revenue. Ballpark. Doesn't count Robotaxi, doesn't count other things that Tesla might do. That is a pretty bullish statement to say that Optimus might be generating $10 trillion in revenue. And Optimus is probably going to be higher margin. So that's really, really large profits. And I think Elon is sandbagging even at $10 trillion. He said north of 10 trillion. He didn't say how far north. It's complete game changer for society, for the company, and for society.
So then you can obviously afford a lot of training compute in that situation. In fact, even $500 billion of training compute in that situation would be quite a good deal.
So the point is, if Optimus is generating $10 trillion in revenue, then spending $500 billion on training compute is small, right? You want to spend $500 billion in training compute if it's going to lead to you making $10 trillion a year in revenue. It sounds like Tesla in the long term is heading towards an additional $500 billion in compute expense, but not right away. And the cost of compute is coming down, so maybe they won't have to spend that much.
The future is going to be incredibly different from the past, that's for sure. We live at this unbelievable inflection point in human history. The proof is in the pudding. So we're going to be launching unsupervised full self-driving as a paid service in Austin in June.
We're going to be launching unsupervised Robotaxi as a paid service in Austin in June. I want to say this again. I have long call options that have a strike date in December. If they're a month late, if they're 2 months late, if they're 3 months late, if we see an unsupervised Robotaxi network operating, charging money by September, and investors take a few weeks or a month to figure it out, by December, the stock is going to at least double. We're talking about $1,000 a share by the end of this year. That's Brian Wong predicted $1,000 a share by the end of this year. I think that may be conservative. And I've got a whole bunch of options in my Roth IRA. I've shifted my investing strategy a little bit. Roth IRA is tax. You don't pay taxes on your earnings, so you want your biggest gains in your tax-free account. we may see just an absolute game changer in terms of valuation by the end of this year. If that unsupervised robotaxi network goes live and we start to see paying customers and Wall Street types and retail investors who aren't into Tesla start thinking about it and they start piecing together, wait, what is this worth? The Q3 earnings call is going to be in October, and you're going to start to see explanations that people are going to start paying attention. Hey, wait a minute, what is this? And I don't see how this, like, unless it doesn't happen, unless there's some really horrible event, I don't see how the stock doesn't go over $1,000 a share by the end of this year. It should be $5,000 a share by the end of this year, the way this is going.
I've talked with the team. We feel confident in being able to do an initial launch of unsupervised, no one in the car, full self-driving in Austin in June. We already have Teslas operating autonomously, unsupervised full self-driving at our factory in Fremont, and we'll soon be doing that at our factory in Texas.
So that video came out in the last couple of days of Tesla's Model Ys driving themselves from the factory to the point where they get picked up. And that was really cool. And apparently that was Fremont. And it's obviously, if they can do it at Fremont, they can do it at Texas, they can do it at Shanghai, they can do it in Berlin. So that is coming everywhere. It's on Tesla's private property. I don't think any government's going to care that they're doing it. Just a total, and there's some cost savings in that, but it's just like, well, if they're comfortable doing that.
Thousands of cars every day are driving with no one in them at our Fremont factory in California. They will soon be doing that in Austin, and then elsewhere in the world, the rest of our factories. The cars are actually programmed with what lane they need to park into to be picked up for delivery. So they drive from the factory end of line to their destination parking spot, to be picked up for delivery to customers. And they're doing this reliably every day. Like I said, the Teslas will be in the wild with no one in them in June in Austin.
So I just want to say this: if you are a Tesla investor and the stock isn't going up on this news, and you place any credibility, this is the entire company saying this. This isn't just Elon winging it. This is at an earnings call. The Tesla team is there. Nobody's stepping in and saying, "Hey, wait a minute, Elon, I don't think we're going to get there." The Tesla AI team believes this. The management team believes this. The board of directors believes this. We are going to see, now, again, I think June might be a little optimistic. It might be July or August. Maybe it will be June. But I don't see how, I don't understand the markets. I don't understand the way Wall Street type people think and other investors think. But once you see this, I think that you have to start figuring out, I've done the math. Stephen Mark Ryan has done the math. Cern Basher has done the math. A lot of us have done the math and said, okay, here's where I see the value going of Tesla if they have a robotaxi network. I think everyone else has to start doing these calculations. At least a lot more people have to start doing these calculations. And I've talked about this before. 1% of the market understands Tesla, and we're all in. 90% of the market has no clue. There's something like 9% of the market that has some idea what's happening. These are the traders, the people who like to play games and they want to get ahead of the market. If they are looking at this and they are saying, well, wait a minute, the market's going to figure this out in Q3, then you probably want to get started on this in Q2. We're in Q1 now. If you want to get ahead of the market, you want to be buying Tesla by Q2. And if you're in that 9% and you're like, well, I want to get ahead of the rest of the 9%, you might want to start buying in Q1, and we're in Q1 now. So are we going to start seeing a rapid appreciation in the stock, anticipating the Robotaxi network going live in June? I don't know. And I don't like to worry about short-term stuff, and it doesn't matter to me personally. I don't have any particular concerns for myself about this. For me, it's like if the stock doubles tomorrow or the stock doubles in June, doesn't really matter a whole lot to me. If the stock goes to $1,000 in March or the stock goes to $1,000 in September, I'm holding. I'm good. But if you are someone who plays short-term games, it might be time to get going and get in on Tesla.
So what I'm saying is, this is not some far-off mythical situation. It's literally, 5 months away, 5 months away, type of thing. And while we're putting our toe in the water gently at first, just to make sure everything's cool, our solution, our solution is a generalized AI solution. It does not require high precision maps of a locality. So we just want to be cautious. It's not that it doesn't work beyond Austin. In fact, it does. We just want to put a toe in the water, make sure everything is okay, then put a few more toes in the water, then put a foot in the water, with safety of the general public and those in the car as our top priority. The normal internal plan calls for roughly 10,000 Optimus robots to be built this year. Will we succeed in building 10,000 exactly by the end of December this year? Probably not. But will we succeed in making several thousand? Yes, I think we will. Will those several thousand Optimus robots be doing useful things by the end of the year? Yes, I'm confident they will do useful things.
So just for starters there, we have a prediction that Tesla will be gunning for 10,000 Optimus robots produced by the end of this year, and maybe there'll be several thousand. He's confident of that. And those several thousand robots will be doing useful work in Tesla factories by the end of the year. So we are probably going to see multiple videos of Tesla robots doing useful work in the factories by the end of this year, and that's just the beginning. It's hard to get it right. There's a lot of things that will go wrong along the way, so it's probably not going to be 10,000, but that's their target. But if they get 6,000, doesn't suck.
The Optimus in use at the Tesla factories, for production design 1, will inform what we change for production design 2, which we expect to launch next year.
So we have production design 1, so the generation 1 production Optimus robot. They're going to manufacture several thousand and use them in the factories. And they are going to learn from the generation 1 robot, the generation 1 production robot, what do we need to change for the generation 2 production robot, which you will hear will be produced in a higher volume. And then based on that robot, they'll make further changes, and there'll be a generation 3 robot, which will be produced in even higher much higher volumes. That's the game plan.
Our goal is to ramp Optimus production faster than maybe anything's ever been ramped. Aspirationally, an order of magnitude ramp per year.
An order of magnitude, for those who aren't familiar with that language, is a 10x. We make 100,000 this year. We're going to make 1 million next year. We're going to make 10 million the year after that. That's what he means by order of magnitude.
Now, if we aspire to an order of magnitude ramp per year, perhaps we only end up with a half order of magnitude per year. But that's the kind of growth that we're talking about.
And a half order of magnitude might be a 3x or a 6x. I'm not sure what he means by a half order of magnitude. The safest thing to say would be a half order of magnitude is a 5x. So if they make 6,000 bots by the end of this year, then maybe it's 30,000 bots by the end of 2026. And then it's maybe 150,000 bots by the end of 2027. But I think Elon is pushing to go a lot faster and a lot higher volume.
It doesn't take very many years before we're making 100 million of these things a year.
100 million a year. Now, he said north of $10 trillion a year in revenue. 100 million bots a year, that's $100,000 a bot. That's numbers that I have roughly set. 100 million bots a year, $100,000 a bot, $10 trillion a year. And I think that that's not enough. If your goal is to deliver one bot for every human, that's 8 billion robots. At 100 million a year, it would take you 80 years. And Elon has said we might have 2 or 3 robots per human. So 100 million bots a year, you're just in the middle of the growth curve. And you probably need to get to somewhere like 1 billion robots a year. Now, it may be that there's other companies manufacturing robots and they're licensing Tesla's AI, or somebody comes along and genuinely competes on their own AI. But if Tesla just on its own makes 100 million bots a year at $100,000 price point a piece, that's $10 trillion in revenue a year. And Elon pretty clearly thinks it's bigger than that.
If you go up by, let's say, a factor, by 5x per year. It's insane. Not 50%, 500%.
Not 50%, but 500%. Just to be clear, a 5x is a 500% increase. They're not looking to go, 50% larger when they're doing Optimus growth. They're not looking to do 100% larger, doubling every year. They are looking to do radically radically faster growth with Optimus than any product they've ever done before, and they think more than any other product has ever been done before.
This is an entirely new supply chain. It is entirely new technology. There's nothing off the shelf to use. We tried desperately with Optimus to use any existing motors, any actuators, sensors. Nothing worked for a humanoid robot at any price. We had to design everything from physics first principles to work for a humanoid robot, and with the most sophisticated hand that has ever been made before, by far. Right? Optimus will be able to play the piano and be able to thread a needle.
The most sophisticated robotic hand ever made, be able to play the piano, be able to thread a needle. We've seen it catch a tennis ball, right? We are looking for incredible ability with these hands and incredible ability with the bot in general, because if you achieve that level of ability, then bot can do a lot of work that humans do. And the more capable a bot is, the more work it can do, and the more demand there is for more bots.
I mean, this is the level of precision no one has been able to achieve. And my prediction long term is that Optimus will be overwhelmingly the value of the company.
Optimus will be overwhelmingly the value of the company. Optimus is going to be 60, 80, maybe 90% of the value of the company will be coming from Optimus. Even though Robotaxi will be huge, Optimus will be that much bigger.
The vast majority of the grid has no energy storage capability. So they have to design the power plants for very high peaks, and assuming that there's no energy storage. Once you have grid energy storage and home-based energy storage, the actual total energy output per year of the grid is dramatically greater than people think. Maybe it's at least double.
And this is really important, and I think people might not grasp this. If you look at the course of human history, one of the biggest trackers for quality of life, for standard of living, has been having access to more energy. If you double the ability of the output of the grid, then you're basically doubling the standard of living. It's one of the, I don't know if it's double, but you're really driving a massive increase in the standard of living and quality of life for people who are enjoying that. And that's going to be America, that's going to be Canada, that's going to be China. Who knows if Europe will allow it, but I think other countries will catch on, and you're going to see this is a big boost to the human condition, and we should be really excited about that. And of course, it's a big boost to Tesla's revenue and profits, but not on the scale of Optimus, not on the scale of Robotaxi, in my opinion.
This will drive the demand of stationary battery packs, and especially the grid scale ones, to insane, basically as much demand as we could possibly make. We have our second factory, which is in Shanghai, that's starting operation, and we're building a third factory.
What? We're building a third factory? What? Where's the third factory? Nobody asked. Killer.
So we're trying to ramp output of the stationary battery storage as quickly as possible. Now, there is a challenge here where we have to be careful that we're not robbing from one pocket to take to another pocket, because for a given gigawatt hours per year of cell output, we have to, does it go into stationary applications or mobile applications? It can't go into both.
So if they have a certain amount of batteries, do they put them into cars, or do they put them into stationary storage like Megapack and Powerwall? And the reality is that I believe Tesla makes more money on cars than it makes on storage. So until they have an adequate supply of batteries, which it appears they still don't, they're probably going to favor manufacturing cars over manufacturing of batteries until they can secure a sufficient supply of batteries for energy storage. That's how I read it.
2025 really is a pivotal year for Tesla. And when people look back on 2025 and the launch of unsupervised full self-driving, true real-world AI that actually works, I think they may regard it as the biggest year in Tesla history, maybe even bigger than our first car, the Roadster, or the Model S, or the Model 3, or Model Y. In fact, I think it probably will be viewed 25 as maybe the most important year in Tesla's history. There is no company in the world that is as good at real-world AI as Tesla. I don't even know who's in second place.
A couple important points there. Describing 2025 as the most important year in Tesla's history, I think that I don't know how you measure. That's like who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Wilt Chamberlain. It doesn't really matter. They're all important. They're all great players, and all of Tesla's years have been important. I think the The critical point there that matters more than anything else is that Tesla is in the lead in real world AI, and they're so far ahead, we don't even know who's in second place. And if we were to try to find them, we would need a telescope. They're so far behind. Tesla has more data, more compute focused on real world AI than anybody else, and it's not even close. And it's not just Elon saying it, Jensen Huang at NVIDIA says it.